get you. Yeah. Alrighty, I will call the August 11th Public Works Committee to order. Roll call: Alder Menzer, Alder Bellinger, Alder Borse, and Alder Russ is present. Alder Decker is excused. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, I am looking for approval of the minutes from the July 14th meeting. All in favor of approving those minutes? Chair votes aye. Those are approved. I don't believe there's any public comment tonight. So we'll move on to item number 6, resolution number 74-25-26 by Alders Decker and Russ vacating 0.03 acre portion of right-of-way on the east side of North 5th Street adjacent to Lot 1, Block 5 of the Assessment Subdivision number 21, City of Sheboygan, Sheboygan County, Wisconsin. City Engineer.
So last year, Mr. Reese approached us to vacate a portion of the right-of-way adjacent to his property. This is a portion of right-of-way that has no utilities and really no future function for the city street system or utilities. And we are fully in support of vacating this small, 0.03 acre parcel to Mr. Reese.
Are there any questions? Alder Bellinger.
This is in my district, and I just want to, thank Kevin and Joel and the city attorney, Liz, for your work on this. He came forward and wanted this, and it's kind of been a long process. It's kind of an unusual request, but I appreciate everybody doing the due diligence and getting this taken care of. He's a neighbor of mine. He's been, they've been a tremendous asset to the neighborhood because in the past, it was one of these homes where they let everything go, and literally the grass and the weeds were, you couldn't even see the windows. It was that bad. And they've cleaned up the house, and they've done a wonderful job. They're a tremendous asset to the neighborhood, and I fully support this. So thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That is approved. Item number 7, General Ordinance number 11-25-26 by Alderpersons Decker and Russ creating a no parking zone on Ontario Avenue. City Engineer or Public Works Director, Trap Pearson.
Yes, so what preempted this was actually, to be honest, I was actually going back to MSB on Ontario Avenue and just about got into a head-on collision with an oncoming vehicle that to make their pass, they had to cross the center line. I believe maybe not paying attention, maybe on the phone as well, but after that, I went back and talked with staff internally about, has this happened before? Was it a one-off? Because it just seemed like a very narrow road. And then talking with internal staff and other department heads at our management meetings, it seems to have been a lot of near misses, close calls. And then City Engineer Jump looked into it, and this is actually a narrow street for what should be a regular street width. It's 4 feet narrower than the minimum these days. Preferred is 8 feet wider than what it is right now. And it's a safety issue because you have Starbucks right on the corner that can get backed up to the driveway. People aren't getting in. You've got a very busy southbound 14th Street. When they get their delivery trucks coming in, it goes right in the front there because they can't go in and make the turn in the parking lot. So people are coming out, you got a blind spot. And so the reason for eliminating the parking on the north side in particular is because when the cars are parked there, they're very close to the driveways. They try and fit in more than what they should. And when residents, if they are pulling in, or should say backing out of their driveways, they have a major blind spot. And so We were just looking to eliminate the parking on the north side, which I think we calculated it maybe at best at 6 comfortable spots, so not a huge number of slots. Keeping parking on the south side, sliding the center line a little to the north, that will give both drive lanes the width that we would like to see.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Alder Bellinger, then Boris.
Thank you. I fully support this. I was a casualty of this a number of years ago when driving through there, a truck clipped off my side mirror because it was too close going the other way. And it is a horribly narrow street, and I think this is a perfect fix for it. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alder Bellinger. Alder Boris.
Yeah, I agree. I am very familiar with that area as well, and I do think that for safety's sake, it makes the most sense. My question, though, is when it comes to winter parking rules, will there be an exception for that street to allow parking to continue on one side? Because otherwise, you know, when you drive through that area, there are people that do park on both sides of that street. And if winter parking is not allowed 50% of the time, that obviously could create a hardship for some of the residents in the area. So any insight on that, please?
Who wants to take that one? All right. City Attorney.
Thanks. I'm just pulling up a map real quick so that I make sure I'm not speaking out of turn. I believe that each of the residential properties to the west of the Starbucks have off-street parking. As far as...
Attorney Majerus, can you bring the microphone to your...
Sorry. Is this better?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. I believe that each of the residents to the west of Starbucks have off-street parking, but I'm just going to verify that real quick. What I would suggest is that we move forward with the parking restriction as suggested today, and if there are concerns that it is not providing adequate parking for the residents who live in that neighborhood, that we can readdress it by creating different winter parking or, you know, addressing winter parking issues there. Sorry, I'm still just trying to, here we go.
I did look at the map, and I thought there may have been some shared driveways in that area, which obviously is one reason that people do oftentimes park on the street. I could be wrong about that, but that's one of the reasons I asked. Has there been any outreach to the residents of that area that would be impacted to see if they see that as a burden or a hardship for them if that street parking is eliminated?
I can't speak to public outreach. I can say that there are 4 residential properties impacted by this. 2 of the neighbors have a extra wide shared driveway, and then 2 of the houses have a single width driveway. As part of the ordinance change, should it be approved, Public Works would send a letter to those impacted residents notifying them of the change and its effective date. And if they have any concerns, they would be able to contact city staff to work through those.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just want to make sure we consider any negative impacts they may have from this. Thank you for answering those questions. Thank you, Chair.
All right, any other, Alder Menzer?
Thank you. No, I just wanted to echo Alder Boris' questions. In fact, I had emailed Director Peterson those exact questions, actually, and I got those same responses. So I think we're going to be fine, and I think this is a good move. So just want to support this. Thanks.
All right. Seeing no other questions, I am looking for a motion. All in favor? Chair votes aye. That is approved. Item number 8, resolution number 79-25-26 by Alderpersons Decker and Russ, authorizing the appropriate city officials to execute an easement amendment with Torganol LLC. Who would like, all right. Attorney Majerus.
Thank you. So Torganol LLC sold some interest in their business or their property to another entity, and that entity gave their easement a fresh review. One of the things that they we're looking for is currently they have two parcels that are side by side, and they have a driveway that connects those two parcels. There's an easement for that driveway, and underneath that driveway, there's an easement for stormwater runoff to serve both of those properties and channel the runoff into a retention pond. So there are two easements impacted by this one little stretch in between the parcels. And what the Torganol successor company was asking for was permission to terminate the easement if in the future the parcels are no longer co-managed. So if they were to split their interest and let one of the parcels be used for a different purpose, then they would terminate the easement, they would remove the driveway. City engineer Jump and I reviewed it, added some language to address the stormwater runoff easement that does need to continue regardless of ownership, and the Torganol Succession Company agreed to that, so we don't have any concerns with this document as presented to you tonight.
Any questions? All in favor? Chair votes aye. That is approved. All right. Item number 9, resolution number 80-25-26 by Alders Decker and Russ, authorizing a 2025 budget amendment and the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order for the purchase of 2 isolation gate gearboxes for the wastewater treatment plant. All right.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rust. So for those of you that have been to the wastewater plant, you've maybe seen our large aeration basins that are about 25 feet deep. And in between 4 of those, we have isolation gates that are meant to allow flow into one of them and to isolate others so that we can empty them as needed. Especially last August when we had a severe rain event, while there was a contractor with some mechanized equipment and some of that in one of those basins, it looked like the rain would be overwhelming the plant to the point where we would have to fill those basins and unfortunately cover up that mechanized equipment. Fortunately, we were able to just barely avoid that. But one of the things that we tried to do during that storm event was to isolate that basin that had that equipment in it so that we could let the other basins fill up and buy us some time. And we found that those gates didn't work. Essentially, those gates are original to the plant, so they're about 50 years old. And we recognized that the gearboxes that basically raise and lower those gates were not functioning. And so we did budget some money in this 2025 budget to let us buy some gearboxes. Unfortunately, we had no idea what those might cost since they were so old and we hadn't been in the market for them for many years. So when we got the price from the vendor, it was almost the $50,000 that was budgeted just for 2 of them, and we need 4 of them. And so recognizing that, we are asking you and then the city council hopefully for a budget amendment to allow us to buy all 4 that would be needed. Otherwise, we can ask for budgeting next year to budget the other 2, but we did hear from the vendor that prices are likely to go up next year, and then there is some advantage with consistency, shipping, things like that, if we can get all 4 of them manufactured at the same time. So we're asking for this. Obviously, it would be a budget amendment. That line item in our budget is very healthy, and then it would come from fund equity or fund balance, which we have quite a bit of. So that's kind of my summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I do have a couple of pictures just printed off of what those look like in case that would be helpful to visualize. So,
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Any questions? All right. All in favor? Aye. Chair votes aye. That's approved. All right. Item number 10. General Ordinance number 12-25-26 by Alders Decker and Rust, amending sections 40-45 and 48-322 of the Sheboygan Municipal Code so as to allow the waiver of special events fees for public health benefit events. Who would like to take this one? All right, Attorney Majerus.
Thank you. This is an exciting ordinance amendment. We have a growing fitness community within the city of Sheboygan, many of which are able now to provide health services to the community at no cost. So this ordinance amendment is allowing for the waiver of fees that would be attached upon making a request to rent a park facility or a request for a special event permit. if they are having a public health benefit type event that is free to the public, meaning they're not charging admission or soliciting donations or anything like that, and if it is open to the public.
All right, any questions? Alder Boris.
Thank you, Chair. I have a couple of questions. The distinction of health benefit without any additional information is what's prompting my questions. And I want to give you guys a couple of, for instances. We might have a new gym come into the area that wants to offer a free CrossFit class in the park. And while they may not be charging people for that, ultimately their objective, I would assume, is to gain new members. So it would essentially be an advertising or a sales mechanism for them versus, say, a local hospital that wants to offer breast cancer screenings and utilize a park area for that, which obviously would have a direct health benefit. Would those two things be considered equal or not? Would they both potentially be allowed exceptions?
Yes, this is written broadly intentionally because we want this to cover things like blood drives, screening, but also fitness classes. Any organization that is offering a free fitness class to the public is arguably doing it for advertisement, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they are providing a free service to the community. If you want to attend a yoga class or a stretching class or a CrossFit class, and you're not being asked to pay anything, to sign up for any future obligations, those sorts of things, this ordinance is intended to encourage that type of offering.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Follow-up question or second question. In terms of how the amendment is structured, I was curious why in section G, so section 2, subparagraph G, the fee waiver specifically for this purpose is outlined, but the remainder of the exceptions covered under the sub A category are not also outlined. Is there a reason that that specifically needs to be included in that section?
I'm understanding your question. You're asking why there's green underlining within sub G?
Correct.
So we use the underline to indicate language that's being added to the ordinance.
Correct. And so the existing language in section B, number 1, fee waivers, covers nonprofit entities specifically with 4 line items below that. And then the next section is specific to this added language, right, around health benefit.
Yep.
But in the fees section, the nonprofits are not called out in any way, only the health benefit exception is called out. Is there a reason both are not called out there?
So I think that we didn't call it out because we didn't feel that it was necessary under the B1A nonprofit entity. We receive those requests differently and evaluate them differently than for-profit entities, which is what we are creating an exception for here. The change for the nonprofit entity, there is no change for a nonprofit entity, I apologize. We already have an existing fee waiver option for those entities.
I'm still not quite clear why the one needs to be called out under the exceptions, but the other does not. Is it because you're indicating that there's a separate process for approval of that? And if so, should that be made clear here? I guess it may be semantics, but the fact that that's not specifically included in the section nonprofits as well as for-profit, and only one of them is contained there, is confusing to me.
Sure, I understand that now. If you would like to make a motion to address that concern, you could ask that the language within G be modified to reflect that the fee waivers would apply consistent with 40-45 paren B. And we can make that change in time for council. If you'd like a different option, perhaps we could hold this, you and I could discuss it outside the context of this meeting, and we could bring it back with some different language.
I move to hold.
Second. All in favor of holding?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That will be held till the next meeting. Our next meeting date will be August 25th, 2025. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 5:20. Thanks, everybody.